So, you've probably seen the headlines, right? Claude 5 is just around the corner. Opus 5 is going to change everything. And if you're like me, you went straight to the source to find the actual facts. You went to Anthropic's website, you searched for Claude 5, and you found, well, absolutely nothing. No product page, no announcement, not even a hint of a release date.
So what's the real story here? Is this model that everyone's talking about actually on its way? Or is this all just, a bunch of community hype and leak culture run wild? That's the big question we're all trying to answer.
Well, I've spent the last few weeks digging through everything I could find. Anthropic's official docs, internal slide decks, all the benchmark data, and every credible report out there. In this explainer, we are going to lay out the full picture, separating what's actually confirmed from what is just pure speculation. Okay, let's dive in.
Okay, first things first. Let's just establish ground truth. As of right now, April 2026, there is no public model officially called Claude 5. That name, it pretty much only exists in the hype. Anthropic's actual public lineup is still version 4.x, and honestly, understanding what they've already shipped is way more interesting than any rumor. So let's just quickly run through what Anthropic actually released. It all kicked off with Haiku 4.5 back in October of 2025. Then things really started to accelerate this year in February 2026. First, we got Opus 4.6, which introduced that massive 1 million token context window. And then, just 2 weeks later, bam, Sonnet 4.6 dropped. And most recently in April, we got the new flagship Opus 4.7. But notice, no Claude 5 anywhere in there.
And this chart right here is the absolute best way to think about their lineup. Seriously, forget the version numbers for a minute and just focus on these tiers: Haiku, Sonnet, and Opus. The analogy is perfect. Think of them as economy, business, and first class. Haiku is your go-to for speed and high-volume stuff. Sonnet is the balanced workhorse for most developers. And Opus? Well, Opus is that premium, first-class experience for your most complex, brain-bending problems.
So, that's the official story, a really steady, impressive evolution of the 4.x series. But that's not where all these Claude 5 rumors are coming from. The real jaw-dropping stuff is happening behind the scenes, with a model that isn't public at all. Okay, now we're getting to the part of the story that is just wild. Behind closed doors, Anthropic has been testing this internal frontier model they call Claude Mythos, and this is what everyone believes the leakers have been calling Opus 5. And its capabilities are just on another level entirely.
So how are they even using this thing if it's not public? Well, it's locked away behind something called Project Glasswing. This is a super-controlled security initiative. Only carefully vetted partners, think major tech companies and security orgs, get access. And the entire point is defensive, to use the AI to find flaws in critical software before the bad guys do.
Now, here's why they're being so incredibly careful. This quote comes directly from Anthropic's own internal red team, their security experts. The model is so good at cybersecurity that it outperforms pretty much every human expert out there. I mean, just let that sink in for a second.
And to put that capability into perspective, just look at this number, 27. During their internal testing, Mythos, on its own, discovered and then exploited a bug in OpenBSD that had been lying dormant for 27 years, a vulnerability that no human, no previous AI had ever found. And we're not just talking about finding a typo. It was chaining together multiple complex steps to pull off the exploit.
So the crucial point here is that Anthropic's decision to lock Mythos away tells us everything we need to know. They realized it had developed these incredible cybersecurity skills it was never explicitly trained for, these emergent capabilities. They saw the massive risk if it fell into the wrong hands, so they decided to restrict access based on safety, not on market pressure to release the next big thing. Okay, so we've got the public 4.x models and we've got the secret Mythos model. But how does all of this stack up against everyone else? Nothing exists in a vacuum, so let's put Claude in context with the competition.
At the very top of the closed model world, it is a super tight race. GPT-4o is still the king of broad language understanding. Gemini 3's big advantage is its native multimodality. It just gets images and video. And Claude's key differentiator right now, it's that huge 1 million token context window and its focus on agentic workflows, which are basically AI systems that can take multi-step actions on their own, all guided by their unique constitutional AI safety framework.
And then you've got this huge philosophical divide. With open-source models like Llama 3 and Mistral, with closed models like Claude, you get these extensive, built-in safety frameworks, but you can only access them through an API. With open source, you get total freedom and control. You can self-host, you can fine-tune, but safety is 100% on you. It's this fundamental choice between institutional guardrails and total user control.
All right, let's pull all these threads together now and really tackle the elephant in the room. We're going to deconstruct these Claude 5 leaks piece by piece, and then get into those bold claims about AGI to see where the hype train stops and reality begins.
When you really look closely at the leaks, a super clear pattern emerges. There was a leak describing a so-called Sonnet 5 that had the performance of Opus at half the cost with a 1,000,000 token context window. Well, guess what? That's almost exactly what Sonnet 4.6 delivered. The Opus 5 leaks? They align perfectly with the crazy capabilities of the internal Mythos model. And for Haiku 5? Crickets. Nothing. So the Claude 5 people are getting hyped for might already be here, just under a different name, or it's locked away for safety reasons.
But the hype isn't just about model names, is it? It's about the future. Back in February, Anthropic's own CEO, Dario Amodei, made this absolutely extraordinary claim, suggesting software engineering could be fully automated in just 1 to 3 years. I mean, that is a massive, massive prediction.
But let's bring in a little counterweight to that. Around the same time, a survey of AI experts from Stanford was incredibly blunt. One of them just stated it flatly: there will be no AGI this year. This contrast between the CEO hype and the more sober academic consensus is really important to keep in mind. For me, the most honest piece of evidence we have is Anthropic's own behavior, their actions. If they truly believed AGI was just 1 to 3 years away, would they be so carefully restricting Mythos to a handful of security partners? Their caution, their decision to gate their most powerful model, speaks volumes. It says the gap between today's incredible capabilities and true general intelligence is still enormous.
So after all that, what should you actually do with this information? Let's distill it all down into a clear, practical strategy for anyone out there trying to build things with AI right now.
Look, don't wait around for some hypothetical Claude 5 to start building cool stuff. The models we have today are already world-class. The strategy is actually really simple. For high-volume, low-latency tasks, use Haiku 4.5. For the vast majority of your development and automation workflows, Sonnet 4.6 is the sweet spot. It gives you near Opus performance at a fraction of the cost. And when you're tackling those genuinely hard, complex problems, that's when the premium power of Opus 4.7 is worth every penny.
So that's the full picture on Claude. The models we have are incredible, and the secret internal ones are even more mind-blowing. And all this leaves us with one final thought to chew on. If today's Opus 4.7 is this capable, and the internal Mythos can find 27-year-old bugs, what kind of brand new, emergent capability would a true Claude 5 need to have genuinely represent another massive leap forward? What would actually change the game?